everyone, welcome back to another color with me video. So today's video is a little bit different as I don't usually use this medium on my channel, but I know a lot of you guys really interested in to see how I am using it. So I have here with me the Hahnemuhle alcohol markers. I know this brand is probably really popular among colorists already, but this is my first time trying them out. This is the 48 color set of the Hahnemuhle line, which means I believe they have the brush nib along with the bullet tip, or the brush nib along with the chisel tip. The one I have is the brush nib and the chisel tip. Hahnemuhle also sent me their mixed media sketchbook, which I will use later in the video when it's come to practicing with these marker before we actually going in with the color along. As I said earlier, this is my first time using these Hahnemuhle marker, but I did use alcohol markers in the past. It's just a different brand, and my method of using them back then is also vastly different than what you see in this video, as the one that I used before is a cheap brand of markers and they don't come with a brush nib, so I never really blending with the markers before, but I will show you a few different ways how to blend them and how to use it along with normal color pencil to achieve the page that you see in the beginning of the video in the preview. And I will also let you know my thought and my opinions about these markers and how they react with normal color pencils. Now let's get into the part where I'll show you how to blend this marker. There is a few different ways to blend the markers, but I will show you the markers only, which is you only use the markers to blend themselves. And for this method you will need all the colors that are quite similar to each other. As you can see here, all the yellow that I use is just different shade, but of the same types of yellow, but ranging from dark to light. So this is the best way you can do when it comes to gradient. I want to show you the example of when I use the pink. So the colors that I use, they not exactly the same, because you can see the red as slightly cooler tone and the pink at the bottom that I use is slightly warmer tone. So that's make it look like it's blending, but you can see there is the blending spot where you blend the two color. There's a bit more obvious than the first yellow gradient that you can see right next to it. That said, this set is only 48 colors, so in order to able to blend all the colors together, you gotta be really selective and very careful with what colors you use. I would highly suggest, if you are going to just use the markers to blend, I would go for a bigger set so you have more selection of colors. They're not as easy in terms of blending as color pencil that I see. As you can see here for the purple sections, I also wanted to do a little bit of reddish purple on the top, but it didn't turn out so well. As you can see, the color look like it blend, but it's looking kind of strange, very awkward blending. But I'll show you the fixed version of what I think is a bit better just in this set only. So instead of using the reddish purple at the top, I use a darker tone purple, but this one is a bit cooler tone, because all the purple that we're using from the middle color, the middle shade purple to the lighter purple, has a bit of that cool tone to it, like a grayish tone. And you can see that even if you do the middle shade with the lighter shade, I feel like you have to add a middle shade in between of the middle shade, if that makes sense. But you can see this one is blend a lot better than the other one, but I guess it's also up to you what kind of look you go for as well. Now you can blend two different colors together, so I'm going to show you here. You can blend the blue and the purple, but again you gotta be pretty careful with what colors you are using. So the color that I'm using, they all is in the cool tone, so I wouldn't do a cool tone and a warm tone colors together. And when you're blending, do really light-handed with them and try to add a decent amount of colors there. I like to add the light color first, then the dark color, and then use the light color again to blend out, and that's how you get the really lovely gradient. I've used a lot of flicking motion when I blend, and you can see when you flick, you're gonna go back to the area that you wanted to blend, and then just go in circular motion or flicking motions, really up to you. It also depends on what color you use. If you lucky and you find all the color that very close to each other, then I found it's a lot easier to blend. As you can see with the green shade here, the green color combo here that I did, and the yellow color combo, they turns out beautifully blended, and I didn't really have any problem with blending them like with the purple. So here, as you can see here, I'm using the green and the yellow to blend, but they're all in sort of like a warm tone shade color together, and they're not too far from each other. So they both kind of like in the middle tone shade, and then you have the darker green on top, and just keep blending it, and you get that beautiful shading. But yes, these marker, my opinion for them is they are blending beautifully with each other. Now, going to my favorite method of using marker is I like to adding color pencil on top to blend. As I said earlier, one of the, I wouldn't say a con, but it's more like a limitation when you buy a smaller set of markers, is you often run out of choice of color to blend with each other. So what I do is I use color pencils on top. This way the marker become a base color, and you only need to use the other color pencil to blend and create the gradient or adding in any accents color you like. And I feel this way you don't have to limit yourself in what color choices you have to stick with. And this method worked well with all different kind of brands. I haven't come across a brand of pencil that doesn't work with this method. As you can see here, I use Prismacolor, Polychroma, and Artex, so ranging from a really good price pencil and a more like a affordable budget brand pencil, and they all blend beautifully. Now another things that I really like when it comes to this method is you can adding in the white later on for highlight, and the white show really nicely on top, a lot better than if you just go on top the white with the white on top of the normal color pencil. They won't show very much. The white usually when you use with color pencil, it's just blending, but you can see here it pop on top of the markers. I don't know why it does that, but I have used this method. So this is like the primary method that I used back then when the markers didn't come with the brush nib for me to use. Now that's it. Let's move on to the practice sections before the actual color along. I highly recommend you watch through this because there's some method that I will show you how to blend that I think you guys will really like. As you can see here, I'm doing like an orange that using all of the yellow. So I like to use the yellow as a base when it comes to like warm tone, and then I'll slowly adding in other darker colors. Now most of these colors is still very blendable to each other, so the shade is from light to dark, but they're not too far on the coloring wheel. And you can see here, because of the orange is slightly texture, I use the dabbing method to blend, and you can see that it creates this beautiful texture for the orange, and at the same time it gives the illusion like you blending, but you don't actually blending with the stroke back and forth like the first method that I'll show you. So this one we're just dabbing, adding a lot of little dot, and I'll keep doing it. I use a dark color to dab the little dot on, and then I'll go in with the lighter yellow to keep dabbing it and blending it. I will add in the colors in the little corners so you can see, but yeah, I'll keep going back and forth with this color and blending them. And as you can see, I also leave a little bit of white highlight on the tip, but generally with this marker, when it comes to blending markers, I don't actually leaving a lot of highlight, because I know for sure that I can adding in the highlight later with the white pencil. And for the white pencil, it worked pretty much with across all brand, even though that I usually said the Prismacolor work out the best, but if you're going to use this method, I think they all work fine, like the demonstration I did before with a few different brands together. And then of course I went in with my trusty white gel pen, and as you can see here, it turns out beautifully, and it looked like you would sit in there and spend such a long time to blend, but in reality it was one of the easiest methods to blend when it comes to fruit. Again, with the green for the stem and the leaves, really easy to blend as well. I use some of the light green and then another green that quite close but slightly darker. I found that when it comes to leaf, what color you see on the actual color swatch, if you think it's like the dark color you want to use, go for a lighter version of it, because these, when it's lighter, and especially in coloring book, you don't have that much space. Keep in mind, a lot of adult coloring book is very small detail, so you would need a lighter color, because that lighter color will look darker in smaller area. As I think it is easier to adding in the darker shadow and shading with normal color pencil than using the alcohol marker to blend when it's such a small area. Next, I wanted to show you how to color in some blueberry, just to like show you the different way of how you can adding in the normal color pencil. For this one, I purely just use the marker as the base colors only. I have two different colors on here. One is a pastel violet, and the other one is a mauve shadow. They slightly different from each other, but they quite similar. One is a little bit more warmer tone, more pinkish tone, and I use the color pencil to adding in the accents color, the darker shadow, everything else with the normal color pencil. But as you can see, because I already have that base color going on, and it take away most of the white paper, which pretty much like all the white paper, I was able to adding in light layer with color pencil, so I don't have to go in that many layers to like burnishing the colors. And I like the look of the pencil slightly grainy, feels slightly grainy on top. Also, you can see here, I use pretty much the same colors. If you haven't noticed, same color pencil. So I use the ultramarine from the normal polychromate pencil, and then for the shadow I did use a different colors. One is a little bit more pink, purple colors, like to match with the first berries with it, and the other one I just use like a darker blue, like a dark ultramarine blue. And yeah, so you have two different color combos. Very simple and very quick to do. One of my favorite methods to use this marker and pencil when it comes to coloring. The last fruit is going to be the strawberry. I will use both the markers and marker blending and also adding some color pencil on top. So as you watch me coloring in this strawberry, I wanted to talk through quickly about the cons of this marker set. And I don't think the smaller set is a fault in itself, but I feel like the color selection could be a bit better. I really like the blue and the green, and also the yellow is a quite nice color selection in this one, but the red is really sad. The pink also not that good. The pink is a bit better than red, but I think the purple and the gray colors are the most lacking in this one. We have a lot of green, but we don't have enough of these other colors. And I've in a term like, yes, they can put less colors because it's only 48 colors, but I feel like they can try to put even amount of shade and tone for some of the colors in here. So for example, the purple selections, there's only like maybe 4 actually purple tone. The rest is slightly like a pinkish reddish purple. But the problem that I have is I feel like it would be nice if you just give me like 6 colors of the purple, but then like 3 cool tone and 3 warm tone. That would make it so much easier to blend, because a lot of these purple is sort of like warm tone, and then you only have one sort of cool tone dark purple just kind of out of place. And then the gray selection is, I think, horrendous because you only get one warm gray, which is a light warm gray, and then you get like 3 cool tone gray, which make it so much easier to blend the cool tone. I wish that I could just take out one of the cool tone gray and add in a darker or like a middle shade warm gray, so you can blend easier. But now you sort of like get stuck with that warm gray that it doesn't really blend with a lot of other colors, because I know for colorists the gradient blending is very common. We like to use gradients in our coloring. However, that said, if you are going to just use this as like a base, solid base colors only, and then go on top with normal color pencil, I don't think it is going to be much of a problem. Because you can see here for this strawberry, I did have to go back with normal color pencil to adding in the extra shadings and gel pen for highlights and whatnot. But the amount of time that I spent on this strawberry compared to if I just use normal color pencil, it was really quick, as I was able to add in the majority of the base color with the normal markers already. But overall, I really like how these fruits turns out. And yes, I do a lot of the fruits in this one because I feel like they bring me a lot of summer vibes since it's so cold in Australia lately, and I just coop up inside my room. However, I'm trying my best to motivate myself, so I have been joining a lot of the classes on Skillshare. And if you haven't heard about Skillshare before, Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives with thousands of classes offered to you by industry experts on all different kinds of subjects, such as film, illustration, design, freelance, productivity, you name it. Now, a lot of these videos are actually related to art. So if you're wanting to try something new, or maybe just want to brush up or improve your existing skill, I think it's definitely a place to go. Skillshare also provided learning paths, which are curated sequential class collection to master a specific skill. At the moment, I'm following a few classes, including a learning path for gouache, and I just finished a class on how to use solvent for color pencil by Kirsty Patrick. Now I'm following Neenah's watercolor classes for food illustrations. I really like her style of teaching, and she also shows how to draw and include her illustration as well if you don't know how to draw. I quite like that I can switch between different classes since I get bored really easily. So with their premium membership, you can access to all of their classes, and you can watch as many of them as you want, and you can learn whenever you want. I also have an amazing deal for you guys today. The first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a 1 month of Skillshare for free. So make sure you check it out, and thank you Skillshare for sponsoring this video. For the color along, I'm coloring in a illustration from Eriy Trailman Postcard. I will put the link down below where you can get it, but I scanned the page and I printed on my preferred paper. So the paper that I use, now I can't say the name because I don't know how to pronounce this, but I also will link that down below as well. The paper that I usually use for normal color pencil. I only use it if I do PDF download coloring books and things like that. And I have tried out a few paper to use with the markers on top. However, they're not that great. They make the marker bleed so much. The first fruit bit that we did color together, I use it in the Hahnemuhle sketchbook. So the paper obviously like intended for that medium, and they are very great. But yeah, it's difficult to find the right paper to use these markers on. I guess that's why I don't usually use a lot of them. And I don't want to use the Amazon paper because I wanted to blend this marker. So this paper that I'm using at the moment, I felt that it's not make the marker bleed so much. I heard one of my friends also said that the Neenah papers are really good. I haven't tried it out personally, but I will put the link down below in case you want to try it. And if you have them at home, you probably can use it. She said that if you use the marker on the smooth side of the paper, because the paper comes with 2 different sides, so if you use on the smooth side, it will be better than on the rough side. And I'm getting some of them, so I will use it in the future video. I probably will do more coloring video with the markers like this because I do really enjoy them. Oh, that's sad, I forgot to mention, a few people asked me if the alcohol markers smell. No, this one specifically doesn't smell to me. Some of the color does smell though. I think the black one really smelly, and one of the pink, but I can't remember which pink I did use. I think it was a pastel pink or something like that. When I was swatching it, it was smelling so bad. But overall, they don't really have a smell in my opinion, or the smell really faint. which I think is so nice, because I do get quite a bit headed when I use alcohol marker back in the day with the other brand. I think it was Touchify. I would not recommend that brand. I use it like a few times and that's it. I never really use them again because the color just giving me migraine, to be honest. So I'm glad that this one doesn't smell at all, or at least to me it smells really mild. So try them out, get a smaller set and try it out, and if you like it, I would suggest get a bigger set, probably at least 70 something colors, because my set is they don't have enough colors for me to blend and I would like more colors, so I probably will get another set of this one. Yeah, so for this page I will put all the colors in above in the corner of the video just so you can follow me if you want, but honestly you can just pick out similar colors from your marker set and do the same. I don't think you have to do exactly the same as I'm doing here. It's just a technique that I'm using. And for this pink hydrangea here, I do a bit of different technique where I add in a bit of the green and then the pink I just at the edge of the flowers, and then I use a blending marker to preserve that highlight between the space between the two colors, so I get like the lighter variation without, you know, having to go back with the white pencil for the highlight area. And I think it worked out really well. Now the marker, the blending marker, I don't like it. I don't like to use it usually for especially big area. I feel like it makes the markers bleed so bad. I did use it in my practice sheet before going into the color along, because I would realize that I didn't really use it when I was doing the practice with the fruits, and I'm like, oh, I didn't realize it's included the set. However, I did try it out and I hated it. I feel like it's much easier to just blend the color together with each other than using the blender, the blending marker to blend out. I guess unless you really want a faded look from a dark colors that you don't have a lighter color to use, then I guess you can try it out. But I feel like is I don't know, it's the look of it is so bad, and it creates like a little rim of colors stain around your objects or whatever you're coloring. So that's why I only use it in like a small area like the flowers. And talk about these flowers, I'm really proud of how they turn out. Okay, they're so nice, and I feel like I was able to do so much with this one but with little effort. I think if it is in the past, if I don't have the brush nib, I probably would just like do the whole entire flower with just one colors and then go in with the markers and things like that. Not the marker, the color pencil to do the shading, and it probably will take just as much long as if I do normal color pencil. Well, I think it's a little bit faster, but not that fast. But in this page, I think it took me about 2 hours, 2-3 hours, no, probably 2 hours in total, because it's a small page. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one, and you can see the bush that I'm doing here, the technique that I use is the same as the orange but with just different colors. That's why I suggested you watch at the beginning of the videos and practice it out before you going in. I don't think it's a hard technique. I think it's really fun. I used the same technique for the wall as well, the brick wall. It was slightly different, but it's kind of similar technique. And actually for the flower bush, for the bushes of the hydrangea, I didn't really use a pencil at all because I was just so happy with the way it turns out. This is what I mean when you get enough colors to blend from the marker. You don't really need the pencil, and I feel like it's helped a lot in like a bigger space as well. It make it look more blended. A smaller space, you can probably get away with not having the middle colors or the lighter color, too light color. But in a bigger area, it does show if you're not doing something texture like this. And even if this one is so texture, as I adding in a lot of the dabbing motion, I feel like it's still going to show. If you don't have the correct colors, it would look really strange. But this one, I have the nice gradient going on, I have the good texture, so I'm really happy with the way it turns out. I didn't have to use a pencil. I think I did actually use a bit of the white for this one, but yeah, overall it's not too bad. Oh, and if you see earlier in the video, I forgot to mention it, but I did use some markers on top of the white gel pen because I wanted to make some of the white flower as like really bright highlight point on the top, so it looked like it's right above the hydrangea like bush, and it worked. But I would suggest you to wait for the white gel pen to dry completely. I did go in a bit hurriedly with the markers, so I think it picked up some of the white pen, and I don't know, maybe in the long run it will make your marker block up due to all the ink. So don't do what I did. Let it dry, but it does work, and I do again here for this one. So what you do when you want to add in a bit of shading and accent color for the lighter area, just go the lightest shade of whatever colors you want to use. So here I use the same colors as the other hydrangea flowers that I had, but just the lighter colors, and I think it worked out perfectly fine. And I think it add a lot of dimensions for the flower, so it's not just looking flat. Now I'm going to use the same kind of technique that I have been showing you from the beginning of the video until now, where we're adding in the markers for the base color, for a bit of shading, like general shading, and then I'll go in with the normal color pencil to add in more shadow, cleaning up the detail, things like that. Then I'll use the white or the gel pen to adding in the highlight. So those are the methods that I'm going to use throughout this entire page. Another thing that I forgot to mention is I would highly suggest you to avoid Amazon type paper, since the paper is really low quality. One of the lowest quality, is even worse than some of the normal printing paper out there. So I wouldn't suggest you use those books for the marker. I think it will ruin your experience with these, and they're not very nice to blend on. They make the marker bleed so bad. The paper is not that great, so you also can't really do a lot of blending with this one, and obviously it's not that nice paper enough for you to go on top with the pencil either. So overall I would avoid using it. You can buy Amazon books, scan it, and then print it on a better paper to use, I would suggest you, even if you don't have the fund to get a really nice quality paper, just get something a bit thicker with a bit more grain, so you can use both marker and color pencil on top would really great. I did use these marker on the Springhill paper that I have. I also included in the description below. So my suggestion is, if you have a really nice coloring book that only print on one side, use it. But if you don't have those physical coloring book and you want to just use it on like a PDF print kind of coloring book, or like print some pages out from your book that printed on both sides to color in, then these are the paper that I suggest you try out. There's a Neenah one that I mentioned earlier. There's the other one, I think Hahnemuhle, something like that. I put in the link below for you. And the Springhill papers are really good. Yeah, but those are my suggestions. But overall, I like the one that I'm using in this video. It's feel nice and smooth, but it's have enough tooth for both pencil and marker to work on. Anyway, I will let you watch the color along in peace, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this one as much as I did making it. I probably will do more marker coloring page in the future if you like, so leave in the comment what you would like to do, and don't forget to check out the Skillshare classes in the description box. I will see you guys soon in the next video, and in the meantime, take care and happy coloring. Bye.